Welcome, Caminantes, to episode 14. I gotta say, today is the day.
I'm super pumped about today. I just am, because I feel like it's a concept not a lot of people, you got to embrace this. This is life-changing.
Well, and one of the things that I noticed is that every episode we say, this is the day. But I think it says a lot about how we live life. Because we make the moment, the now, the it.
Right, but no, this one is really it.
Because this is it.
This
Episode
is it.
14, right? The power of perspective. And we'll be talking about this quite a bit in the past episodes. How you can change your mind to change your life.
That's right. Your perspective shapes your reality. When you transform your mindset, you can really transform your world.
Love it.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We're honored to do this. Every day we wake up, we see our subscribers and our community just growing so quickly. And it's such just a blessing, an honor to do life with you guys. My name's Tiffany, and this is my amazing, super fine husband, Luis. And we're your hosts of Caminante.
Thank you, sweetie.
Where cultures collide
and empires rise. So let's start with this. Have you ever noticed two people can look at the same situation, same thing, and see completely different realities? Has that happened to us? How about that?
Minimum once a day. Minimum once a day.
At least.
Look, that's when you just agree to disagree, and you just... Today we are exploring the incredible power of perspective and how simply shifting your mindset can transform your relationships, your career, your life. Truly.
So if you're ready, right, for change, this is it. Start here. Because when you change your perspective, everything else follows. It's just incredible. Just by changing your perspective, everything else follows. So perspective isn't just how you see things. It's how you experience life overall. So baby, when did shifting your perspective profoundly change your outcome? Thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness. Perspective is like one of those muscles. And when you just start a little bit, then you get in that habit of reframing and changing your perspective. Look, I'm not perfect at it. I wish I was, because I really need to do some better in some areas.
That's right, baby. That's right.
In a lot of areas, just reframing and being able to see things not just from your way, but also from others, from the heavenly perspective. Like this is unbelievable. When I realized that viewing challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, that's probably one of the biggest ones for me.
Right.
Because it just opens up possibilities that I've never imagined.
Right.
Because you don't get stuck. You don't give up. You don't get depressed. You don't, some of those emotions that can drag you down, you can suppress them or work through them by having the right perspective.
Right. So exactly what you're saying is the lens you choose to wear on a particular time determines your path forward.
That's right.
Is that kind of what you're referring to? Okay.
I was talking with somebody the other day. They were like we were talking about some challenges. And so let me tell the story because it's important. We went, and it's also super funny. We went to go look at a mini Highland, Okay. If you're not familiar with this, mini Highlands are just the cutest, like, farm animals. They're becoming like house pets.
It's a mini cow.
It's a mini cow, but they're so cute, so cute. And now they have these micro mini cows. Anyways, we went to go see them, and we've been at this process for like 6 months. Well, don't ever give a deposit for an animal without seeing or touching it first. Thank goodness I had done that much research. And anyways, we went to go drive and see them, and we ended up at the Heartbreak Hotel, like in literally the middle of nowhere. And it was raining outside, so you feel like you're in the middle of a scary movie. So I was telling this story to my friend, and I was like, but that's okay. We didn't get our mini Highland. We still haven't. We will. We've met so many great people along the way. So it's like, it didn't stop there. My thought was, but that's okay that happened, because since then, there's been so many other blessings and incredible things happening. So she was like, you are such a positive person. And I didn't even realize that, because positivity has become ingrained, for the most part, in who I am, probably even to a fault. Like, I'm a helpless optimist.
Right.
But you look at things differently, and you stay positive even through difficult situations, and it helps you manage them better.
Right. And it doesn't have to be like big things or, like something like that where you're referring something, like the mini cow, right? But that is the practice, is in those little things, in the big things, in the middle things. It's truly about just looking at things overall in a manner that allows you to live life in a positive way. I think about how can you do, from the mind standpoint, influence that. It's a mindset, I believe. And there are few things that I've learned to repeat or to put into routine to get that mindset refreshed every single day. I'm not perfect. I know that I also have flaws, but I've seen, like, when there is a challenge, like a big challenge, right? So not to put down the mini cow situation, but something like a life challenge, something that
a health issue,
a health issue,
sure,
something that could be, losing a family member, something that could be bankruptcy, something that could be divorce, right? And what I have found myself into is a lot of my friends, workers, employees, they come to me for advice, right? In this kind of life circumstances. And they do it because I think what I manifest, not only through work or what we do, but, when we're just talking casual, my mindset is always, or at least most of the time, in the positive note. And it made me think about, not too long ago, because I had somebody that was going through divorce, and how did I get to that point? How did I get to be positive even when the fall is falling apart? When we went through the pandemic, one of the large investments I've done was during the pandemic. The world was falling apart. And I saw optimism. I saw an opportunity. I saw a door of rebuilding things, right? So get practical, sweetie. Get practical.
Well, a couple of things. First, there is, of course, a scale, right, of difficulties, challenges, and certain things, death, divorce, betray, so depending on your season and where those challenges fall on that scale could depend on, how you heal and grow and move through that, right? Like, I had something happen 2 years ago that I still don't have the right perspective on it. In fact, with that situation, I'm stuck. But it still needs some more healing. Okay. But in other areas, and it was the death of my father. And that's hard. Things like that, you may not be able to shift your perspective and wake up the next day and go. Some people might. You probably, you move through things faster. But, there's a lot that's tied to that we won't get into today. But I say that because there are some things that you might not have rainbows and unicorns perspective on, especially in certain moments. But how we can get a better perspective is by renewing our mind, being transformed by the renewal of our mind. Garbage in, garbage out. What are we watching? What are we learning? What are we listening to? What are we filling ourselves up with? So who are we hanging out with? What music are we being negative or are we being grateful? So all of these things can really help with renewing your mind so that you can focus daily on what's going on right now and dramatically shift how you feel about certain challenges because the challenges are coming.
So renewing your mind, it's your angle. Okay. I would say gratitude would be my angle. Focus on daily on what's going on right. That can dramatically shift how you feel about challenges.
Right.
Okay. That gratitude, be thankful for what you have, no matter in the good, the bad, or in the middle. I think being thankful and actually say it, thank you, is a great exercise. Because it does reconnect, your mind, your emotional being into that word which is so powerful, gratitude, and how you give that back, right, to society, to people that to workers, to family members, to your marriage, to your kids, how you role model gratitude in front of them. Not because you're trying to do it just to show, but because you truly feel it and you are a thankful person. So much that you spread that around, right, with your actions, and it just becomes a routine. It becomes you. It becomes who you are. And truly, people see that. It's like a power of attraction that people actually notice, and they look for that, and they ask for that. And how do you have that? So gratitude would be probably one that I would put in the books. Renewing your mind is another one. It's really, really amazing. It is a process of just working your brain, your mind, in a constant basis to just leave what's not good, recycle those thoughts or those images or those or anything that is exposure to your mind, and put it with good positive things, right? Anything else that you think that you have utilized? And I gotta say, I mean, with you, what happened to you 2 years ago, you have moved on. There's that feeling and that memory that probably still there, and it will always be there, right? But you have chose, because I see you have chosen happiness. You have chosen joy, right? Because I see how you are with the kids. I see how you are with our marriage. If you haven't done that, because you haven't done what we're talking about, changing the perspective of things, which is, and here it is, and I'll be real, is you still have a life ahead of you. And you have chosen to put your perspective into that and focus on what is today and future, not leaving or not forgetting, that amazing memory, but you have chosen life because you have moved on. Your health, your lifestyle, your mind, you are hotter than ever before. you're an amazing mom, an amazing wife, and I see you embracing challenges every single day, new opportunity, new things of growth. So not sure where that was coming from, but I do want to tell you, you have changed your perspective, because I see it every single day since then to today.
Thank you, baby.
You're welcome, baby.
Yeah, you are right. I think it's so easy to get caught up in your own mind, right? Like about certain situations. And in my own mind, I think that my perspective is right about the situation, but like I'm just not letting go. Like in my mind, I'm still not letting go. But you're right. I've chosen the perspective to make him proud, to let his love live on, to, you know, be the best that I can be for my kids, for my marriage, you know. And I'll never forget, like, I was talking to him about something that was going on with us. And this was probably like 6 months before he passed. And he was like, and he has an interesting story, but I'll never forget. And his words just sit with me anytime we go through difficulties. He's like, Tiff, I really don't know, but you guys just need to work it out. You know? So, yeah, I guess you're right.
One quote from an author and that I love, and guys, check it out because it's a great author. His name is, I believe, is Wayne Dyer. I don't know if you have read anything about him or see anything in, but great author, and I will never forget. And that was during a life cycle that I was in, and I was doing a lot of how do you call those? Seminars. I was doing so many seminars, for life and growth, and I really got into that. And if I have to say one thing about that cycle of my life, was that quote. And he says, once you change the way you look at things, things change. Look at how interesting. Once you change the way you look at things, which is what we're talking about, perspective,
yes,
the things change. Isn't that powerful?
Yeah. Well,
think about it.
We have the power.
Right, but think about the quote itself. Because truly, once you change the way you look at things, the same thing that you were looking at before, even though it's the same thing, it just changed right in front of your eyes.
Right. So it's going to be what it's going to be.
It's going to be whatever you choose to be it. So in one way or the other, we are our own creators of our reality.
Yeah.
Because you are choosing every single day, every single moment, every single time, how you want to look at that thing, how you want to feel about it, what kind of chemic is between that thing and yourself, that relationship. You could do it to the thing, to somebody, so we create our own reality. And that was for me so life-changing, because from that moment, I left life like that. Once you change the way you look at things, the things that you're looking at, they change. So perspective deeply impacts relationships. Mm-hmm. I mean, how has changing your perspective, Tiff, or what about how it has changed relationship, or how it has improved relationships for you when you have changed your perspective about a thing or a person? Because it's really impactful.
Recognize, well, this just takes me back, and I'm not going to go into details, but there was a situation that happened over the weekend between you and I was explaining to you this story as I saw it.
Wow, you want to do it here,
and
huh?
You were explaining to me the story as you saw it. And interestingly, the stories were completely different. So, your reality, my reality, different. This was one of those situations that ended in, we're going to agree to disagree. But recognizing that misunderstandings can often stem from different perspectives has helped me to listen better and empathize more deeply.
So what you're saying, going back to that weekend, right? With the disagreement or the agreement to disagree.
So, hubby, how has your perspective directly influenced your career success?
All right. So let's see. So I think viewing failures as feedback rather than setbacks have made me more resilient, innovative, and successful. So not running away from the failures, not be ashamed of the failures. Totally the opposite. Take that as feedback. Take that as a learning lesson. I was talking to Luisito, yesterday actually, and we were talking about one of the books that you gave us. It's okay to make the mistake. It's really okay. What's not okay is to make the mistake and not learn from it. You have to grow by making mistakes. They are completely okay to make. But to do it again and again and again, that's what's not okay. So taking the feedback from that mistake, taking the feedback from that failure is key, because otherwise, I mean, what are we doing, right?
It's called the insanity cycle, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Correct.
So it sounds like, and this is such an aha moment, success really becomes inevitable when your perspective empowers rather than limits you.
Love it. Love it. So why don't we engage the listeners, sweetie? I know that you got some stories to share, and you're always keeping that community alive with their feedback, comments, ideas, thoughts. So what do you got?
We love to hear from you guys. If you have not sent us a comment, a direct message, we want to hear from you. One girl, and this was so enlightening and just encouraging. She said, I stopped seeing rejection as a dead end and began viewing it as redirection.
Wow.
So
if you're watching, you killed it. Love it. Again, what did she do? She stopped seeing rejection as a dead end and began viewing it as a redirection. I love it. You just made my day.
That's somebody with grit,
yes,
greatness. That's a superpower.
Yes.
Superpower.
Because why to look at it as this as the stop wall, right? And that's what happens when you hit the wall emotionally. You're like down. But if you stay down and you don't, put yourself back up and see it as okay, that's probably not the way. Let me take.
That's right.
So pivoting, I think is the way to look at it. Beautiful. I love your perspective. Thank you for sharing. What was through that? Was that through
Instagram?
Okay.
At the Caminante pod.
Perfect. So keep sharing us that feedback, because it's moving, it's powerful, and I know that somebody right there watching felt the same way as I just did, because that was for me a wow moment.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you for your feedback.
That's it today for our exploration into the power of perspective.
I know, loving it.
But so powerful. Right. So powerful. What areas are we feeling stuck in? What perspectives do we need to shift? Remember, a simple shift can create a huge transformation.
Guys, subscribe, review us, share this episode. I know that this new perspective that we're talking about could inspire somebody else to see the world differently. Please don't hold that information. Keep sharing it, because the whole idea of this is to create impact and to have more caminantes.
That's right.
Continuing with this walk.
Subscribe, review, share. YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts is where you want to subscribe. Follow the Caminante pod on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And as my hubby said, share this episode with somebody who is ready to transform their mindset.
Thank you, Caminantes. Thank you so much for this time together. We love you. We miss you already until next week. But until then, keep walking as a true Caminante. Love you all. Ciao.
Bye.